My best friend asked me to cover for him with his wife. Now she thinks I'm the one who destroyed their marriage. I should have said no. That's what keeps circling in my head. If I had just said no that Thursday night, none of this would have happened. Ethan and I had been best friends since college. Roommates sophomore year, groomsmen at each other's weddings, though mine didn't last, and regulars at a dive bar downtown that served bourbon like it was holy water. We'd been through a lot. So when he texted me around 6:30 p.m., "Hey, if Emma asks, I was with you tonight," I didn't hesitate. I replied, "Yeah, of course." Didn't even ask why. I figured maybe he needed to blow off steam. Marriage stress, kids, whatever. Ethan always carried the weight of things silently. Emma was high-strung, and lately, he'd been quieter. I figured it was harmless. Guys do dumb favors for each other all the time. But that small lie, that 5-word cover, was the crack that split everything wide open. The next day, I ran into Emma. I was picking up coffee on my way to work, and there she was in line behind me, hair pulled back, baby carrier in one hand, her older kid tugging at the other. We made small talk. She asked, casually, "So what did you and Ethan do last night?" I froze a second longer than I should have. Then I said, "Just grabbed a couple beers, caught up. Nothing big." She nodded, but something in her eyes shifted. Like I'd just confirmed a suspicion, not calmed one. I brushed it off at the time. Didn't think about it again until Monday, when Ethan called, panicked. "She thinks I'm cheating," he said. "She's going through my phone now. Deleted messages, GPS history, she's digging." I asked him straight, "Are you?" Silence. Then, "It's complicated." I wanted to punch him. Instead, I said, "You better fix this." He swore he would. Swore it was over, that it didn't mean anything, that I was helping him smooth the transition. I didn't ask what that meant. I just told him, "Don't drag me into this deeper." But it was already too late. Emma called me 3 nights later. Crying. Drunk, I think. She asked me again what Ethan and I had done that night. I told the same lie. She asked me what bar we went to, who our server was, whether we saw anyone else we knew. I mumbled through answers. She was quiet. Too quiet. And then she whispered, "I know he wasn't with you. But he told me you covered for him. So I have to ask, was it you?" My blood ran cold. "What? Was it you?" she repeated. "You're the one he always confides in. You're single. You've had women over, I've seen the Instagram tags. Maybe it wasn't some stranger he met. Maybe it was you." I wanted to scream. Instead, I just said, "Emma, I'd never do that to you." She didn't respond. Just hung up. The next morning, my phone lit up with a message from Ethan, "She knows. She thinks it was you. Just go with it for now. I'll talk to her." Go with it? I didn't respond. Then, the text started from mutual friends. "Hey, what's going on with you and Emma? Why's Ethan telling people you came between them? Dude, tell me it's not true." I didn't sleep that night. Or the next. By the end of the week, the circle had turned cold. Friends avoided me. Invitations stopped. Someone posted a vague status on Facebook that I knew was about me. Some people will ruin a family and act like the victim. I was the scapegoat now. And Ethan? He vanished. No calls. No texts. No explanation. I should have said no. But now, I'm in this mess, and the only way out is the truth. I didn't leave my apartment all weekend. There was this low-grade nausea in my gut I couldn't shake, like I'd swallowed something poisonous and it was slowly working through my system. I barely ate. Didn't touch the bottle of scotch sitting on the counter either. For once, drinking felt wrong. Like adding gasoline to an already burning house. On Sunday night, Ethan finally called. I let it ring twice before I picked up. No hello. No apology. She's telling people I cheated. I waited. Well, did you? A pause. It doesn't matter now. What matters is damage control. I laughed, cold and low. You're worried about damage control? You dragged me into your lie, Ethan. You used me. He snapped. You agreed, man. Don't pretend you didn't. I just needed a buffer for one night. One night, I repeated. And now she thinks I'm the one who slept with her husband. His voice dropped, suddenly calmer. Manipulative. She's emotional. She's just lashing out. Let her burn through it. I'll talk to her. You just need to lay low for a bit. Lay low? I nearly shouted. People think I broke up your marriage. You think I have it easy, he shot back. I'm couch surfing at my cousin's. I see my kids through a screen. She froze our accounts. I'm getting screwed, too. I bit my tongue hard. Blood pooled in my mouth. I wanted to say, good. But all I said was, fix it, Ethan. Or I will. Then I hung up. That night, I opened my socials. Shouldn't have, but I did. Curiosity is a hell of a drug. The damage was everywhere. Emma hadn't made a public post, but the innuendo was there. The comments. The side eyes. The people we both knew, now treating me like something that crawled out of a gutter. A few DM'd me. She's hurting. You could at least admit what you did. I always knew something was off about you. One message stood out. From Tasha, a mutual friend, and someone I used to flirt with, before Emma came into the picture. Did you really sleep with Emma? I stared at the message for 10 minutes. No. Period. Send. Tasha replied, then why's Ethan saying you did? I called her. She picked up right away, and the second I heard her voice I knew, I was already the villain in this story. She didn't yell. She didn't accuse. She just sounded tired. He's telling everyone you confessed. Said you admitted it to him the day after. That you'd been seeing Emma on the side for months. I nearly dropped the phone. Tasha, that's a goddamn lie. I don't know what to believe, she whispered. I just know Emma's broken. And you're not denying it publicly. What the hell does that mean? It means silence looks guilty. And then she hung up, too. Monday morning, I got to work early. I work in IT for a mid-size firm in the city. Cubicles, LED lights, bad coffee, the usual. My job's never been flashy, but it pays well and keeps the bills paid. It's also quiet, private, or it used to be. Two coworkers, Jake and Brianna, walked past my desk and went silent mid-conversation. I caught the look. The one people give when they think they know something dark about you, but won't say it to your face. HR called me in at noon. Not to fire me, but to check in. We've had some concerns raised about your conduct outside of work, said Nancy, the HR rep, lips pursed like she was sucking a lemon. We understand there may be some personal issues creating tension with others in the office. I wanted to laugh. Or cry. I did neither. It's a rumor, I said flatly. A false one. She nodded too quickly, like it didn't matter whether it was true. Just, be mindful of workplace interactions. People talk. When I got back to my desk, there was an envelope on my chair. No name. Just a note inside, written in blue pen. You don't deserve friends like Ethan. But maybe you deserve the mess you're in. I read it twice. Then a third time. And for the first time since this whole thing began, I felt something sharp break through the fog. This wasn't going to blow over. Ethan wasn't just covering his ass, he was setting mine on fire. By Tuesday, it felt like the city was leaning in, just to watch me sweat. That morning, I took the subway like always. It was packed, noisy, hot, but different this time. A woman sitting across from me kept looking up from her phone to glare at me. I didn't know her. But I had the gut feeling she knew me. Or at least, the version of me Ethan had built. The rumor had legs. It had teeth now, too. When I got into work, Brianna didn't even try to hide her disapproval. She packed up her laptop the second I sat down, muttered something about needing a quieter space. Later, I overheard Jake say my name to someone over Slack and laugh. Not the friendly kind. I was being iced out. At lunch, I walked 2 blocks just to get out of the building. Ended up sitting on a bench by a fountain, picking at a sandwich that tasted like cardboard. That's when my phone buzzed. Emma. Her name lit up the screen like a warning flare. I stared at it, thumb hovering, until it went to voicemail. A few minutes later, I got the transcript. I just want the truth. Not the lies you told Ethan, not the stories you're spinning now. I deserve that much. Call me. I didn't. That night, I cracked. I went to the bar where Ethan and I used to drink, McSorley's, 2 blocks from his old place. It was nearly empty. I sat in the back, ordered a double, and stared at the wall for an hour. The bartender, a guy named Rob, finally came over. We weren't friends, but he recognized me. Rough night? I nodded. He leaned in, lowered his voice. Look. I don't know the full story. But Ethan's been running his mouth. Said you crossed a line. My jaw clenched. What kind of line? You know, he said. With his wife. I took a long, burning sip. It's not true. Rob held my gaze for a moment. Then shrugged. I believe you. Why? He smirked. Because I saw Ethan here 2 weeks ago. Not with his wife. That got my attention. Who was he with? Some brunette. Younger. Laughing like she didn't have a care in the world. You sure? Rob nodded. Pretty sure. I remember faces. I sat back. My mind racing. Would you be willing to say that to her? To Emma? He hesitated. You want me to get in the middle of that train wreck? Just think about it, I said. I might need you. He didn't answer. But he didn't say no either. That night, I went home and opened my laptop. My email was full of spam, bills, and a single message from an unknown sender. The subject line was blank. Just a link inside. Stupid, I know. But I clicked it. It led to a private Facebook post. Someone had screenshotted Ethan's messages. Group chat, it looked like. He was joking about me taking the fall for him. Said something like, better him than me. He's single, he'll bounce back. And then, besides, everyone already thinks he's kind of a dog. The comments underneath were worse. Dude. Savage. She's better off anyway. One of our mutual friends, Kevin, commented, wait, he really doesn't know you're throwing him under the bus? Ethan replied, he'll figure it out eventually. I stared at the screen for a long time. There it was. The truth in his own words. He'd burned me to save himself. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat in the dark, the light of the screen glowing across my living room, thinking about every moment I'd stood by that guy. The late nights. The drunken confessions. The weddings, the birthdays, the times I'd picked him up off the floor and put him back together. And now? He was done with me. No second thoughts. No apologies. He'd thrown me to the wolves, and walked away clean. Well. Not for long. Wednesday morning, I made coffee and didn't drink it. Just stood by the window, mug in hand, watching the traffic crawl past like it knew something I didn't. I was done playing defense. The post I'd seen, Ethan's smug little bonfire of betrayal, was still live. Screenshot by someone who hadn't meant to help me, but had. I didn't know who sent it. Still don't. But I owed them a drink and maybe the keys to my sanity. So I started digging. Ethan had always been messy. Not on the surface. On the surface, he was a golden retriever in a Patagonia jacket. Suburban prince. PTA dad. Career on the rise. But underneath? He was a leaking pipe behind nice drywall. And now that I was pissed, I remembered all the cracks. The extra phone he kept in his gym bag. Work stuff, he'd said. I believed him. Idiot. The deleted texts he once showed me, like some kind of brag. Gotta keep things clean, you know? I'd laughed, uncomfortable. I figured he meant something stupid, like gambling or dumb flirting. I didn't know he was building a graveyard. That night, I went back to McSorley's. Rob the bartender was working again. I waited until the crowd thinned, then walked up with my phone out, screenshots ready. He looked tired. You again? You remember what you told me? I asked. He nodded. I need you to back it up. He leaned against the bar. You planning to go to war? Something like that. Rob scratched his chin. Look, I don't want drama. But I also don't like being lied to. He disappeared into the back and came out with a notebook, his incident log. Technically for tracking fights, tabs, and cops being called. But he jotted other stuff too. Here. He pointed. August 8th, Ethan, brunette, same booth he always uses. Left at 11:30. She called him baby when they left. I took a photo. Thanks. He held up a hand. Don't thank me yet. I'll say what I saw. Nothing more. Fair. The next day, I started gathering every bit of digital lint I had. Old texts. Group chats. Photos. Anything that could put Ethan's timeline under a microscope. I wasn't trying to ruin him. I just wanted to get my life back. But every click, every message I pulled, showed a pattern. Ethan had been laying this groundwork for weeks. Subtle digs about my dating life. Backhanded jokes about me not being relationship material. Snide remarks about how guys like me couldn't be trusted around married women. He'd been framing me long before the lie. The final straw came Friday morning. Emma showed up at my building. I came out of the elevator and there she was, standing in the lobby with a look that was equal parts hurt and hate. Her eyes were red. Makeup smeared. She held a manila envelope in one hand. We locked eyes. I said nothing. She handed me the envelope. You know what's in here? I shook my head. Pictures, she said. Of you and Ethan. From the bar. Texts. Logs. Dates. Everything you gave him to use against me. I opened the envelope. It was a copy of the same screenshots I'd saved. The same bar entry from Rob's notebook. But with my name blacked out and Ethan's face front and center, laughing, hand on some girl's thigh. She stared at me. Why are you giving me this? Because I was wrong, she whispered. He let me believe it was you. He let everyone believe it. But it was him all along. I didn't say anything. I just looked at her. I don't know if I can fix this, she said, voice cracking. But I can stop the bleeding. She turned to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, she said over her shoulder, I'm sorry. I should have known. And just like that, she was gone. I stood there a long time, envelope in hand, watching her disappear down the street like a ghost that finally chose the right direction. That night, I printed everything. All the texts. The screenshots. Rob's notebook entry. I organized it, stapled it, and slid it into a folder. I called Ethan. He didn't answer. I left one message. You said I'd bounce back. You were wrong. I'm not bouncing. I'm standing. And I'm coming. Then I hung up. Not out of fear. Out of peace. I didn't go to work Monday. Called in sick. Didn't even bother with an excuse. After the HR stunt and the silent treatment from half the office, I figured I deserved a day to deal with the wreckage my so-called friend left behind. Instead, I took the folder, the one with every lie, timestamp, and betrayal, and went to see Ethan. He was staying at his cousin's place, a townhouse in Queens with too many kids and not enough space. I parked 2 blocks away and walked the rest. I don't know why. Something about showing up quiet felt right. Like I owed him the courtesy of a silent arrival before the storm. His cousin answered the door. Didn't look thrilled to see me. "You here for Ethan?" "Yeah." He stepped aside. Back porch. I found Ethan out there, shirtless, barefoot, smoking a cigarette like it was the only thing keeping his lungs moving. He looked like he hadn't shaved in a week. Eyes sunken. Hair wild. A broken man. Good. He didn't smile. "Thought you'd show up eventually." I dropped the folder on the table between us. He eyed it, then me. "What's this?" "Your exit." He opened it. Flipped through a few pages. His face stayed blank, but I watched his throat bob. "You recorded me?" "Nope. Someone else did. You just left a long trail." He shut the folder slowly, like it might bite him. "What do you want?" he asked. I sat across from him. "An apology." He snorted. "That's it?" "No. That's just the start." He leaned back in the chair, cigarette dangling from his lips. "Look, man." I panicked. Emma was coming apart, and I needed space. You were already in the conversation. It just made sense. Made sense to destroy my name? I didn't destroy it. You turned me into the villain of your divorce. You said you'd cover for me. I didn't say you could throw me under the damn bus, Ethan. Silence. For a second, all I heard was traffic from the street and a siren in the distance. Then he said, quieter, "I figured you could take it. You're tough." I wanted to hit him. Instead, I stood up. "You're going to call Emma," I said. "Today. You're going to tell her everything. You're going to set the record straight with anyone you've lied to. And then, you're going to leave me the hell alone." He stared up at me, the old charm gone. Just a man who thought the world owed him something and got caught trying to collect. "What if I don't?" he asked. I took out my phone. Pressed play. It was him, from that Facebook leak. His voice, laughing, better him than me. His eyes widened. "I've got copies. I've got timestamps. And Emma? She's not stupid anymore." I turned to leave. "You're really done with me?" he asked, quiet. I didn't turn back. "We were done the second you lied and let me burn." And I walked out. That night, I got a call from Emma. I almost didn't pick up. "He told me," she said. "Everything." "Good." "I should have trusted my gut," she said. "You were the only one who didn't scream at me. You just disappeared. And that felt like guilt. But now I see it. You were just trying not to make it worse." I didn't want to fight him. He was my friend. A long pause. "He's not anymore," she said. "No. He's not." We didn't say much else. But before she hung up, she said something that stuck. "You were never the villain. You just got cast as one in someone else's mess." I thought it would feel better. After everything, I thought getting the truth out there would be like exhaling after weeks underwater. But even after Ethan came clean, even after Emma started quietly correcting the story, it didn't all disappear. Reputations don't heal as fast as wounds. Especially not in this city. Especially not when the lie was so easy for people to believe. The Monday after Ethan's confession, I walked into work and nobody said a word. Not one person. Not even Jake, who usually had something smart to say. They knew. But none of them said, "Hey, man, sorry we assumed the worst. No one ever does. I sat at my desk, opened my inbox, and scrolled past the silence. HR didn't call me back in. Nancy didn't apologize. She just CC'd me on a company-wide memo about office culture and interpersonal accountability. The kind of language that sounds helpful and means absolutely nothing. Around noon, Brianna passed me in the hallway. She didn't stop. Just muttered, "I guess I owe you a drink." I didn't respond. I didn't want a drink. I wanted to rewind time and never pick up Ethan's call. Later that night, Tasha messaged me. "So, guess you weren't the villain after all." I stared at the screen, thumb hovering. "Did you ever think I was?" She replied in seconds. "I did. But I didn't want to. That's what makes it worse." I told her we should talk in person. She agreed. Said she owed me that. We met at a quiet place, corner table, dim lights, the kind of bar where people whisper even when there's nothing to hide. She looked tired. Not in a bad way. Just like someone who'd been sitting with the truth a little too long. "I feel like an idiot," she said, before the drinks even hit the table. "You're not." I didn't ask questions. I just believed the easy story. I sipped my beer. Most people do. She looked at me, really looked, and said, "Why didn't you just tell everyone what happened?" I thought about that. For a long time. "Because if I'd fought it, it would have looked worse," I said. Like I had something to prove. Like I was trying too hard to look innocent. And I was tired. I was so damn tired of having to defend myself for something I didn't do. Tasha nodded slowly. "That makes sense." We didn't talk about Ethan after that. Not directly. Just hovered around it, like a grave we didn't want to dig up again. "I'm glad you're okay," she said when we stood to leave. "I'm getting there." She hugged me. It felt like closure. Or maybe just release. When I got home, I saw a message from Emma. Just one sentence. "Thank you. For being decent when you had every right not to be." I sat on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, thinking about that word, decent. Not heroic. Not noble. Just decent. That's all I ever tried to be. The kind of guy who doesn't lie, doesn't cheat, doesn't throw people under the bus to save his own skin. And for a minute there, I thought that didn't matter anymore. But maybe it still does. Maybe being decent means standing up when it counts, and walking away when you finally see who someone really is. You ever clean up after a flood? Not the water, not the mud. The smell. The way it lingers in the walls and furniture, like the memory of what happened is still hanging in the air. That's what the weeks after Ethan's betrayal felt like. The waters had receded, but the stink was still everywhere. You can't scrub away shame that wasn't yours to begin with. The truth was out. Emma had cleared my name quietly in their circle. She'd even told a few of the louder voices that Ethan had manipulated the whole thing. A couple of mutuals sent me texts, half-hearted apologies, the kind that make them feel better, not you. One said, "Guess we jumped to conclusions. Hope you're good, man." I didn't answer. Because here's the thing, people don't really care about the truth. They care about the story. And if the original version painted me as the villain, that's the one they'll remember. Truth doesn't travel half as fast as gossip does. But that wasn't the worst part. The worst part was realizing how small my circle really was. Ethan had been in the center of everything. My social calendar. My support system. Half my friendships were byproducts of our bond. Once he nuked that bridge, the rest started crumbling with it. No more poker nights. No more weekend barbecues. A few of the guys I used to shoot pool with every Thursday stopped replying to texts. One blocked me. Guess it was easier than asking questions. I kept thinking about the note someone left on my desk at work, "Maybe you deserve the mess you're in." I still don't know who wrote it, but I've thought about those words a lot. I've always been the guy who says yes. The one who helps you move at 7 a.m. The one who'll pick you up from the airport, lend you money, cover for you when you make a mess. And maybe that was the problem. Maybe being useful made people forget I was also human. Maybe Ethan thought I'd just swallow the grenade, brush myself off, and keep going. And the worst part? He wasn't wrong. I almost did. I almost stayed silent forever. Almost let the damage settle and made peace with the fact that I'd just be that guy to some people from now on. But then I started thinking about the first time I met Ethan. We were 19. Dorm room neighbors. He was loud, funny, charismatic. The guy who made friends before the RA could finish roll call. He pulled me into his orbit so fast I didn't even notice. I remember once, years ago, when his dad died. He called me at 2 a.m., crying so hard I could barely understand him. I drove 45 minutes through a snowstorm just to sit with him on his porch and let him fall apart. And now? He couldn't even make one phone call to stop my name from getting torched. There's something deeply cold about that. That someone can let you shoulder their mess, then walk away like you were the problem all along. It took a long time for that to settle. But once it did, something else came up through the wreckage: relief. Relief that I'd found out now, not later. That I didn't waste another decade propping up a man who never saw me as anything but a fallback plan. Sometimes when a storm tears through your life, it doesn't just destroy things. It clears the landscape. Lets you see what was rotting underneath. It's strange, the silence that follows chaos. You spend weeks with your heart pounding like a drum line in your chest, your sleep shallow, your thoughts tangled, and then, one day, the noise stops. Nobody's whispering your name. Nobody's side-eyeing you in the hallway. No more texts, no more rumors, no more Ethan. Just quiet. The kind that forces you to listen to yourself. I cleaned my apartment for the first time in weeks. Like, really cleaned. Not just dishes and laundry, closets, drawers, junk bins. I threw out 3 bags of old cables I hadn't used in years, shredded papers from an ex-girlfriend I hadn't thought about since 2020. Funny how grief collects like dust. I started running again. Just a couple miles at first. My knees barked like hell, but the rhythm felt honest. 1 foot after the other. Forward motion. No lies. Somewhere in that routine, sweat, breath, solitude, I started thinking less about what Ethan did to me and more about what I'd let happen around me. Like how much of my life had revolved around people who didn't know me. Not really. People who liked the idea of me. The easygoing guy. The helper. The convenient alibi. I thought about that a lot. And then I started making calls, not to Ethan's crew, not to the folks who ghosted me the minute things got messy. No. I called people who stayed. Like my old roommate Dave, who'd moved to Chicago 2 years ago. We hadn't talked in ages, but when I told him what happened, he said one thing. "Damn, man. That's rough. But you always were too loyal for your own good." He wasn't wrong. I called my sister. We're not close, never have been. But she picked up, no questions asked. Listened to everything. Didn't try to fix it. Just said, "You're better off. You know that, right?" And maybe for the first time. I did. A week later, I got coffee with Emma. It wasn't planned. She'd texted, said she was near my office, asked if I had time. I did. We met at a quiet place on 10th, no expectations. She looked tired, but clear. Lighter somehow. "I'm getting my own place," she said. "Found an apartment near the park. Kids'll have their own rooms." "That's good." "Yeah. It's time." We sipped coffee, talked about safe things, rent prices, bad weather, worse drivers. But before she left, she looked me in the eye and said, "You didn't just take the fall for him. You protected me, too. Even when I didn't deserve it." "You didn't ask me to," I said. "Still. Thank you." We hugged. It was brief, awkward, human. And it felt final. In a good way. That night, I slept through the whole night for the first time in months. No dreams. No ghosts. Just stillness. The kind that means you're not running anymore. Not from the past. Not from the truth. And not from yourself. You don't really feel a chapter close when it happens. There's no sound, no sharp click, no sign from the sky. It's just a Tuesday morning where you pour your coffee, check your phone, and realize, nobody's talking about it anymore. Not at work. Not online. Not in whispers behind your back. The storm is over. You're still standing. And no one really knows what it cost you. I walked into the office that morning and it felt normal. The kind of boring, stable normal I used to resent. Funny how things change. Jake nodded at me. Brianna actually smiled. The same woman who wouldn't make eye contact a month ago now wanted to talk about the weather. I didn't hold it against them. I just didn't engage. I'd learned something about silence, how it reveals people. Some folks filled it with judgment, others with distance. A few waited, watched, and let the truth show itself. And some, like Ethan, used it like a mask. He never reached out again after I confronted him. No apology. No second version of the story. Just silence. Which, honestly, said everything. Emma kept her word. She told people the truth. Quietly, respectfully. She didn't go scorched earth, didn't drag his name like he dragged mine. She just spoke her piece, then kept her head down and built something new for her and the kids. I respected that. There was one last thing I had to do. I opened a new email. To our old group chat, the one that used to plan poker nights and weekend trips. Half of them had gone radio silent when Ethan started spinning his lie. I kept it short. Just so you all know, Ethan lied. You believed it. That's on you. I'm not mad. But I'm not interested in rebuilding something that was that easy to abandon. No hard feelings. Just clarity. Then I archived the chat. Didn't wait for replies. Didn't want any. Some things, once broken, aren't worth fixing. I started going out more. Joined a community soccer league, started grabbing drinks with coworkers who didn't know anything about Ethan or Emma or the mess in between. People who knew me now, not through the lens of a broken friendship. It felt good. Clean. Tasha reached out again. We got drinks. Talked about everything and nothing. She didn't push. Neither did I. It wasn't romantic, not yet, maybe not ever. But it was something else. Genuine. A kind of quiet connection that felt like the opposite of everything I'd been through. And that's when I realized, I didn't miss Ethan. Not the laughs. Not the memories. Not the years of friendship. Because the man I thought he was never really existed. I was friends with a version of him that died the second he handed me a lie and watched me drown in it. I don't hate him. But I don't need him anymore either. That's the real freedom. Not justice. Not revenge. Just walking away with your head high and your soul intact. It didn't end with fireworks. No dramatic speech. No last-minute showdown. It ended on a Sunday afternoon, sitting on my porch, watching the sun fall behind the skyline, coffee in one hand, a quiet breeze rolling through the trees. Peace doesn't knock. It just walks in when you finally leave the door open. Ethan never came back. Not to apologize. Not to defend himself. Not to explain why a decade of friendship meant less to him than his reputation. He vanished into the fog of his own mess. I heard through someone else he moved out of state, got a job somewhere quieter, started over. Good for him. I didn't follow up. Emma and I stayed in touch. Not often. Just check-ins. Sometimes she'd send a photo of the kids, nothing dramatic, just moments. A science fair project. A kid's drawing. A birthday cake. Proof that life moves on, even after betrayal cracks it in half. She thanked me again, once. In person. Last time we spoke, in fact. We met for coffee. She was wearing jeans and a ball cap, looked tired but strong. I don't think I could have faced the truth without you standing there, she said. Even when I didn't know what side you were on. You don't owe me anything. Still, she said. You showed me what a real friend looks like. We hugged goodbye. That was that. As for me, I started over, too. New circles. Smaller, better. Friends who call because they care, not just when they need something. I stopped being the guy who says yes to everything. Started choosing myself a little more often. Not out of spite. Just self-respect. Funny thing is, losing Ethan felt like cutting off a limb at first. Now it feels like removing a tumor. I walk lighter. I breathe deeper. And my reflection finally looks like someone I recognize again. Tasha and I still meet up now and then. No labels. No expectations. Just honesty. I think that's enough for now. Maybe it grows into something more, maybe not. But there's no lie between us, and that's a hell of a start. I don't think about the mess much anymore. Not the rumors. Not the looks. Not even the silence. But sometimes, when I pass a certain bar downtown, I think about that first lie. If Emma asks, I was with you tonight. 5 seconds of weakness. 1 sentence. And it nearly cost me everything. But in the end, it gave me something else. Clarity. Boundaries. Freedom. Because I finally saw the truth, loyalty without limits isn't friendship. It's self-destruction in disguise. And I won't make that mistake again.